Have you ever looked back at yourself and felt a sting of disappointment? A quiet frustration at the choices you made, the words you spoke, the moments you froze when courage was needed. Perhaps you replay your past mistakes over and over like a broken record, asking yourself why you weren't better, wiser, stronger. If this resonates, you are not alone. Every human being carries the weight of their younger self. Someone who did not know what you know now, someone who acted out of fear, ignorance, or confusion. That younger self might have hurt others, or worse, hurt you. And now, in the silence of your own mind, you carry resentment and guilt. But here is the Stoic truth. The past is immutable. You cannot change it, you cannot undo what has been done. All you can control is the way you perceive it, and the way you let it shape the person you are today. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The mistakes of your past are not walls meant to trap you. They are the very stones upon which you can build your strength. Forgiving your younger self is not an act of weakness. It is not pretending that the past was flawless or that your errors do not matter. It is, instead, an act of courage. A conscious decision to reclaim your power from the mistakes, regrets, and failures that once held you hostage. Today, we will explore the journey of forgiveness, not for others, but for the one person you often overlook. The person who walked the path before you. The one who struggled in ways you now understand. We will dive into the Stoic philosophy that teaches us to embrace our humanity, to learn from our mistakes, and to transform regret into wisdom. By the end of this journey, you will not only understand your younger self, but you will embrace them, forgive them, and step into a life unburdened by the chains of the past. Regret is a silent thief. It creeps into your thoughts, infiltrates your sleep, and lingers in moments of solitude. Perhaps it manifests as shame for a moment of cowardice, a lost opportunity, or words spoken in haste. Perhaps it is the quiet self-recrimination for failing someone you loved. Whatever form it takes, regret is rooted in our judgment of our own actions. Yet, consider this. Why do we hold the past to standards the present self would never meet? We are often far harsher on ourselves than we would be on a stranger. A child who missteps in life is not a criminal. They are a learner navigating a world they do not yet fully understand. The Stoics teach that external events are neither good nor bad. They are neutral. It is our judgments about them that inflict suffering. You cannot undo the moments where you faltered. You cannot go back and rewrite the chapters of your life. The only freedom lies in your perspective. Every error, every failure, every act of shame or fear is a page in the story of who you are becoming. Think of your younger self as a traveler on a path they could not yet see clearly. They stumbled, they fell, they made decisions they now question. But each misstep was part of a learning process. They were learning patience, resilience, and wisdom through trial. And yet, too often, we punish that self. We replay scenes in our minds, imagining we should have done better, been stronger, or acted differently. The truth is, you did the best you could with what you knew at that time. That is the ultimate Stoic realization. Your younger self acted in accordance with the knowledge, understanding, and virtue available to them in that moment. To condemn them is to condemn the very essence of growth itself.
Imagine the person you were at 15, 20, or 25. Think about the fear in their eyes, the uncertainty in their steps, the rawness of their emotions. They were unformed, like clay waiting to be molded by the events of life. Their decisions may have been impulsive, their reactions emotional, their understanding limited. But they were learning. Forgiveness begins with empathy. You must see your younger self not as a failure, but as a student of life. Each mistake was a lesson, each heartbreak a teacher, each regret
a guidepost. Without these experiences, you would not have the insight you hold today. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who faced countless battles, political intrigue, and personal losses, yet reflected daily on his own mistakes and shortcomings. He understood that perfection is unattainable, and that growth comes from self-reflection and compassion. To forgive your younger self is to grant them the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend who stumbled. Ask yourself, what were the circumstances that shaped their choices? What pressures, fears, or limitations influenced their actions? By stepping into their shoes, you begin to see the humanity in their struggles. You recognize that they were doing their best, even when their best fell short. This recognition is not a denial of fault. It is an acknowledgement of reality. And in acknowledging reality, you free yourself from resentment. You begin to see that the person who once felt small, powerless, or afraid was simply navigating life the only way they could. And that is enough. The Stoics teach that adversity is not merely an obstacle, it is an opportunity. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every misstep of your younger self was an event that shaped your character. Every error was a challenge that honed your resilience, patience, and virtue. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on his own failings, moments of anger, moments of indecision, moments when he fell short of his ideals. And yet, he did not wallow in regret. Instead, he used those reflections to grow, to align his actions with reason, and to cultivate virtue. This is the Stoic approach to self-forgiveness: acknowledgement, reflection, and transformation. Think of your younger self as the seed, and your present self as the tree. The seed endured storms, harsh soil, and long winters. Without that struggle, the tree would never stand tall. Without the errors, the heartbreak, the shame, you would not possess the wisdom, strength, and clarity you hold today. Forgiving your younger self is also a matter of perspective. The Stoics emphasize the impermanence of life, the fleeting nature of events, and the smallness of individual missteps in the grand tapestry of existence. Every mistake is temporary. Every failure is a lesson. Every regret is a teacher. By reframing your perspective, you transform your past from a source of pain into a foundation for growth. You begin to see that your younger self's errors were not failures. They were essential steps on your journey toward wisdom. Guilt and shame are chains we place on ourselves. They serve no purpose other than to keep us anchored to the past. To release them, we must first recognize their origin: our judgment. The Stoics teach that judgment is within our control. We can choose how we interpret events, how we internalize mistakes, and how we speak to ourselves. One practice is journaling. Write to your younger self. Speak with kindness, with understanding, with empathy. Acknowledge the pain they endured, the mistakes they made, and the courage they displayed simply by continuing forward. Meditation is another tool. Sit in silence and visualize your younger self. See them not as flawed, but as human. Offer forgiveness aloud or in your mind. Allow compassion to replace resentment. This is not weakness, it is strength. The strength to reclaim your narrative from the grip of regret. Stoics also practiced premeditatio malorum, the contemplation of adversity. By reflecting on the challenges your younger self faced, you can cultivate gratitude for their resilience. Every misstep, every heartbreak, every error was a step toward the person you are becoming.
When you forgive your younger self, You transform regret into strength. You reclaim the energy wasted on self-blame and redirect it toward growth. You no longer carry the burden of shame, and in that freedom, you discover your true power. Consider every regret as raw material for building resilience. Every mistake becomes a lesson in patience, humility, and wisdom. Every past failure becomes fuel for courage and determination. You learn that mistakes do not define you, they refine you. Action follows reflection. With forgiveness comes clarity. You are no longer a prisoner of the past, replaying scenes of failure. Instead, you are the architect of your present and future. You can act with purpose, guided by the lessons of experience, strengthened by the empathy you now hold for yourself. Acceptance is liberation. When you fully forgive your younger self, you release the chains of regret. You acknowledge the past, embrace your humanity, and step into the present unburdened. You understand that perfection was never the goal. Growth was. This freedom allows you to live with courage, to act with intention, and to pursue virtue without the weight of self-recrimination. You honor the journey with all its trials and triumphs, and in doing so, you honor yourself. Your younger self did the best they could with what they knew. Your past mistakes are not marks of shame. They are the building blocks of your wisdom, strength, and resilience. Forgive them, embrace them, learn from them, and move forward with the knowledge that you are not defined by who you were, but by who you are choosing to become. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Let your actions, guided by self-compassion and wisdom, reflect the person you have become. Forgive your younger self, and in that forgiveness, find freedom.